Hello, my name is Anuska and welcome to my channel. Now, on today's video, I'm talking all about gestures as it relates to speech, and I have particular interest in what impact, if any, gestures makes on the voice. There's obviously a whole world of non-verbal communication work out there, but I am specifically going to look today and share the three main benefits that I see with using gestures when you speak and how they can really enhance our voice. So gestures is a robust phenomenon. It's been around for over 2,000 years, and it really crosses culture, age, and gender. I mean, we all gesture. We gesture as babies, we gesture all through our life, and it's truly incredible because it's really not an add-on to speech, it's actually an integral part of speech. And as a little exercise right off the bat, just try and read a paragraph and don't allow yourself to move your hands or your arms at all. Like sit on your hands or do something so you can't use your hands, and notice the difference when you do allow yourself to use your hands and when you don't. Does it have an impact on your voice? And you could record it as well and just see if you notice a difference in the sound, but also in how it feels. So when we talk, we gesture. And it doesn't matter whether anyone's looking at us or not. So we will gesture when we're on the phone and we're talking to someone. Babies gesture when they can't speak. And congenitally blind people gesture when they speak, even though they've never seen anyone gesture. So this is so deeply ingrained in us as human beings. It's incredible. So gestures help us to talk, to think, to remember, and sometimes, obviously, they reveal more about ourselves than we would maybe like to reveal, because it often shows our anxiety and our nervous tension as well with our gestures. So what I'm going to talk about now, before I get on to the benefits, is the 5 main gestures that I have identified. Now, you may find, if you do your own research on this topic, that there's a lot of information out there about this. There's lots of different people that use different labels, different names, different terminology. But essentially, as far as I could see, there were kind of 5 main gesture types, but you might see these with different names or different labels. And I have used the work of David McNeil and Peter Anderson. So the first one is called an adapter. Now this is the gestures that we use which reveal our internal state. Now this could be conscious or unconscious. So often these come out when we're nervous, when we're anxious, when we're uneasy. So think public speaking. Sometimes, and I talk to people about this all the time, sometimes people are aware that they say, for example, fidget, other people don't, and it's only when they watch a video back and they're like, I had no idea, I kept touching my hair, or I kept fiddling with my pen, or I was fiddling with my clothes, or I was touching my face. So there's a lot of kind of nervous energy, nervous hand movement. You could play with your fingers. You see that a lot, particularly with women. They play with their rings. They might play with other jewelry if they've got a bracelet or a necklace. So there's a lot of kind of nervous energy, nervous tension, uneasiness. It can also be excitement as well, because we know in the body, nervousness and excitement actually kind of feel the same. So number 2 is illustrators, and as the name suggests, they actually illustrate what we're saying. So it's kind of like we're painting with our hands. And these types of gestures will add detail to the words. It will actually aid that kind of mental picture that we're trying to build, maybe in terms of the size or shape of an object if we're describing something, for example. Now, these types of gestures, unlike the adapters, which are when we're kind of anxious and nervous and don't want to be somewhere, these types of gestures are very natural and they're very fluid, and they come very naturally when we're speaking. So an example could be if you are someone that likes fishing. I don't know why I've got this example in my head, but let's say you're someone that likes fishing and you're talking about a fish that you caught, and you might say, you know, I caught this tiny fish at the weekend, and you would probably most likely gesture to depict the size of the fish. Number 3 is the pointing gesture. Now this is the one, I mean, it's fairly self-explanatory, it's pointing, but it's actually the first gesture that we use, and babies use the pointing gesture before they even start speaking any words. So it's one of the first gestures as humans that we use. So number 4 is the beat gesture, and this is perhaps the most common gesture that we all use. Now, what's important about this one is it's not really adding any meaning to the words, unlike the illustrative gesture. It's more about emphasizing our words. And so it could be, for example, if we were really excited about something, we might start, at the weekend I went to this thing and I was so excited and I met this person. We might sort of flap our hands around. It's not actually adding any additional meaning to my words, but you'll notice this is very common. We all do this to lesser or greater extent when we speak. So the final one is the emblem gesture. Now, these are culturally used and culturally understood, meaning that they may differ across cultures, but they are also consciously used and consciously understood, unlike the ADAPTOR gesture. And they can be used as a substitute for words. So a couple of really good examples. So you can use this as you speak, but you could also just use this and people would still understand you. So for example, if you were saying to someone, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" We might do that. Certainly I used to do a lot of scuba diving, and this was the okay symbol for being underwater. So that's a fairly universal symbol for I'm okay. The other one might be if you're on the phone and someone's like saying, "Can I speak to you?" And you're like, "I'm on the phone." So those types of gestures, most of us would understand what they mean. So we're now going to look at the benefits to using gestures when we're speaking. And as I said, specifically around the impact on the voice is what I have the most interest in. So the first benefit is acoustic benefits. And this is specifically around pitch and volume. And with hand and arm movement, essentially the voice projects better, which I think I always knew to be true just intuitively in terms of, particularly as a singer, but also when I speak, I really had noticed that when I use my hands and my arms, my voice seems to have more power. But there's a lot of research now to back this up. And there's, if we use the analogy that the body is the engine behind the voice, the gestures are the foot on the accelerator, and the extent to which you rev that engine will be the extent to which your voice will perform. So it's all kind of interconnected. I think what's really important to say with all of this though is we want to be using gestures in a very natural, fluid way. Sometimes you see people over gesture, and actually it can just be very distracting if someone's kind of constantly moving their hands around. It can be very, very distracting. So it's really about using it to really support and enhance the words versus just flapping your hands around, which is just then really, really distracting. So that's the first benefit. So try this out, try reading something. Again, take a paragraph and deliberately move your arms and your hands when you speak. And just notice, does your voice have a little bit more power behind it? Does it feel like it projects more easily when you use your hands? So the second benefit is functional. And this is really fascinating because essentially if our hands and our arms, which obviously then connect into our shoulders and our neck, if this is all tense and we're kind of gripping and holding and it's all kind of, constricted, that is going to impact the voice. So if we can have some softness and some movement through the hands and the arms, the voice is going to work better. The voice is going to feel freer and more open. And I know this to be true, as I say, in my own work over the years, particularly as a singer. If you can get some fluidity, some softness in the body, but particularly through the hands and the arms, your voice is going to just function so much better. So coming back to that gesture of when we're nervous, we'll often grip and hold on to things. It's just bringing some awareness to the hands if they like to fidget or they like to grip, just to release and just allow some softness, because it will make a big difference to your voice. And one of the things I say to clients all the time, if you are feeling anxious before going into a speaking engagement, is just to shake your hands, shake your arms, just try and get rid of some of that unnecessary tension. And then the final one, which is probably the most obvious one, is comprehension. And really what we see with gestures is adds meaning, it brings clarity to our words. It helps us to emphasize certain words. You know, again, if we were talking about something was really big or something was really small, or it was round, or it was square, or we use our hands all the time to help kind of bring that visual component to our words. It's also really important if our words are ambiguous, or let's say, you know, we're in a foreign country, we don't speak the language at all, or we don't speak the language very well, we're probably going to be using more gestures to try and get our message across and to be understood. And so often, particularly if you are public speaking and people perhaps can't hear you very well, or, you know, if you can bring some gestures in, it's just going to reinforce your words and help everyone to kind of understand what you're saying and to follow you. So what is really interesting to me is, as I say, we all gesture, whether we know people can see us or not. We gesture on the phone and we gesture when the person's standing in front of us. Some research done by Wim Powell back in May 2020 really confirmed this, that we hear gestures in people's voices. So it's incredibly powerful. He did some experiments and proved this, that we literally hear gestures in people's voices. And he talked about how gestures really resonate in our voice. And that's really, for me, the whole reason I got so excited about this topic, because it has a profound impact on our voice. As I said, acoustically, functionally, and adding comprehension and meaning to our words. So, as I say, the idea is not to just go around and flap your arms around. It's bringing some kind of awareness and some sort of focus to it. But also, if you aren't moving your hands or your arms when you're speaking, just to bring some softness to it so we're not tensing as well when we speak. So if you have any questions, please post them below. I hope you've enjoyed this video. And also, if you have any topics you'd like me to cover in the future, please comment below. But if you enjoyed this video, please do like, comment, subscribe, share with anyone that you think would be interested. And I will see you on my next video. Thank you for watching.